Cool. Welcome everybody. Something very exciting is happening today, and that exciting thing is that I am not going to be the one who's talking to you. Someone who puts together much more thoughtful and exciting presentations than I do is going to be leading our meeting today, and that is our UX designer, Jess Fortunato, talking about UX design and research for Torus. And I think that she even has some fun activities for us, or at least one fun activity, if I remember. So with no further ado, I will hand it over to Jess.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Yes, I do have two-ish activities planned for us. I like to say that they're fun. If you don't think so, just don't tell me, but they should be fun. So let me start sharing my screen. Okay, can everyone see a slide deck?
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome, thanks. So once again, welcome. I'm going to be presenting on the UX design process for Torus in this meeting. And I'll just kind of run through the different parts of this presentation. So first I'm going to introduce myself, then dive a little deeper into the process, defining user experience design, going through a framework that I often use called the double diamond, and then how that is applied to the UX process here with Torus. And then our really fun activity, which you're all going to love, hopefully. Awesome. So let's start with an introduction. So hi, I'm Jess Fortunato, and I'm the Torus UX designer at Carnegie Mellon Simon Initiative. And I'm actually an alum of Carnegie Mellon. I think a year ago now, graduated with my master's in human-computer interaction. And I'm very passionate about uncovering complex problems, a lot of problems at Torus, complex, and connecting people through technology. So what better way to do that than through, education and online collaboration there. And a fun fact about me is that I won a contest for best apple pie in Washington County. So if you sign up to do in-person research with me, maybe you will get a slice of pie. Probably not, but I'm just putting it out there. And then we also have two interns joining this semester, Tracy and Mufe, who might be here, might not, but if they are, they can wave. And they're excited to start improving the platform as well. So you might be seeing them around in some of these sessions. Okay, so let's take a look into the Torus UX process. First of all, what is UX? Sometimes I tell people my job, and actually most times they're like, what is that? But UX has been around for a long time, as a lot of people in tech know. And many people think the UX is this, maybe more on the visual design side, which no offense to visual design, because I was a graphic designer before this, and it's super important as well. But UX is a little different of a practice. So UI, or user interface design, is more about the visual aspects, ensuring that designs are accessible, clean, and follow like commonly known patterns, which is all extremely important. And at CMU, I do have the honor of practicing both UX and UI. However, UX is a little bit deeper into the research side of things and why we're designing something. So now I'm just going to kind of dive into that side of things. And hopefully you are all familiar with this meme, because if not, I just look insane. But okay, so UX design is about, or user experience design, making products easy, enjoyable, and most importantly, useful for people to use. So here in this picture, we have a person who's not using this beautifully designed path for them, but instead they're using this walkway that seems like a lot of other people have used it as well to get to one place. It's probably because no one talked to the actual users to discover what is the best design here. It might be really pretty and brick, but it's not being used, So UX is more about the why and the who. So why are we building something, and who is going to find value from it? And it kind of focuses on understanding what those user needs are, and then creating smooth, intuitive designs to support them. So the goal is to design products that not only work, like this sidewalk, it works, but it's also useful and creates a positive experience for the user. So one of the easiest ways to explain the UX design process is probably through the double diamond framework, which some of you may be familiar with. But this framework, it's not followed to like a T in every workflow, but it gives some structure to like an often ambiguous journey. So I'm just going to use an example from our upcoming version 29 release to walk you through this diamond and how I use that in my workday. So every project starts with a problem. For example, here, there's been reported confusion around the various account types in Torus. So I received word that this topic is on our roadmap. Well, what does that mean? Who's reporting the confusion? Why are they confused? What are the different account types in Torus? There's 100 questions that run through my mind, and in order to make an impactful design, they have to be answered. So we see that the diamond starts to kind of jet out there, and that's because I'm about to explore as much of this problem space as reasonably possible. And we explore that through research. So I develop key objectives and questions to discover those user needs and investigate potential pain points. And this research can take many forms in user experience design, like desk research, surveys that we have pictured here, interviews, observations, and especially combing through those tickets that you've submitted on the triage board. So keep doing that. It's awesome. And some of you who are in this meeting may have actually been research participants in some of these interviews and whatnot. So from the research come findings, and I'm just going to highlight a few of the important findings from this version 29 accounts research. So we started with there has been reported confusion around the various account types in Torus. Set out, did some interviews, collected some data. What did we find? So account semantics are not consistent on the sign-in page, and this confuses first-time users when determining what account they're signing up for, which that's not great. If I don't know what account to sign up for, I can't get my foot in the door, right? Then first-time users that are students are actually creating authoring accounts by mistake due to the lack of context on the Torus homepage. If they can't get their account, same thing, queue in the support line. We're going to need some support to get them into the right classes, which is extra effort on our part and their part. And lastly, users with multiple accounts, which is pretty common with Torus, people who are teaching a class and building a class, and might even be taking a class at the same time, they couldn't easily navigate between the student, instructor, and authoring accounts. It would waste valuable time figuring out how to do this, opening different windows. It was just something that wasn't necessary. So these findings lead us to a more defined problem, taking us down the slope of the first diamond. And our more refined problem statement has a few layers to it. So one, users have difficulty distinguishing between instructor, author, and student roles, and switching between multiple accounts is cumbersome. So this leads to confusion and inefficiency navigating the platform. So the most important part of here is the last part, like why does this problem matter? Well, because it leads to confusion and inefficiency. And a great quote from some of this research was that if the first interaction I have with Torus is confusing, that sets the scene for the rest of the user experience. So this is kind of like a lasting impact made on the user by what we're presenting to them first. So it's really, it's wasting time, making you feel confused. That's something that we're going to prioritize in fixing. So then you take this problem and you turn it into more of an opportunity. So something that's often used in UX is a how might we statement. And I'm coming back up to the diverging of the second diamond, but how might we, one, clearly show users which account they're in, two, communicate the purpose and features of each account type, and three, make it easy to navigate between them. So it's got a few layers here, but let's see what we can come up with. So this kind of gets into the expanding ideation phase. So UX ideation is a creative process of generating ideas, like it says here, getting your brain juice flowing, And it typically involves brainstorming sessions, competitive analysis, sketching, pictured here on my awesome whiteboard, and a lot of other techniques that are just aimed at exploring various solutions that could enhance the usability of a product. So after exploring this ideation space and all the different possibilities, you kind of start to converge again. And that involves asking questions like, what ideas bring value to both the user and the organization? And what ideas make the most sense technically? So once those ideas are prioritized, I start to develop them into actual designs, which, as pictured here, is a very iterative process. I might sketch something, then show that to a user and learn that I was missing a whole piece of the puzzle, and you have to go back and ask some more questions and go back to that research phase. And then throughout this design phase, it's very important to receive the user feedback and feedback from the dev team so that I know that I'm working on something that is technically feasible. And I'm not just building out this picture to the right here that's a high fidelity prototype, when in reality, we can't even build that. So it's very important to be talking to not only the users, but the internal team members as well, so that we're all on the same page about what's being designed and how it might be built out. So here's where I added the arrows just to reiterate my point. But as I mentioned before, it's an extremely iterative process, and it's important that you set, time box and deadlines on these things, because it is easy to get stuck in a loop sometimes between like define, develop, discover. So, got to make sure that you are moving throughout the process as well. But in the end, you end up with a solution that has been co-created with users and stakeholders and should be ready for implementation. So let's go back to our accounts example. So our how might we statement was, how might we clearly show users which account they're in, communicate the purpose and features of each account type, and then make it easy to navigate between them. Well, after ideation and multiple sessions with users and our wonderful dev team, we introduced the Torus workspaces. So I'll take you through the prototype real quick. So let me stop sharing this page and share a different page. Can you see a computer with Torus on it? Or no?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, awesome. So here is the final high fidelity prototype from the work with the accounts. So you can see now the student, instructor, and author is all separated with their own taglines here, kind of telling you what each account does. They have their own color theme. So author is purple, instructor is green, and student got that blue, and then whatever color goes into the logo. And then besides that, we have consistent semantics of the student, and their own icons to match that as well. Students can no longer make their account for the wrong thing. They have directions to go through their course enrollment link. So that's kind of getting rid of the confusion there of having to, like, why would I go make an instructor and author account, and having clear directions set out for the student. And then when we go in, I'm going to go in as an author. We have a new banner introducing each workspace so that I know that I'm, in the course author, and a new nav bar telling me where I am at all times as well. So if I even go in here, it stays so I know that I'm in the course author. Here's fun, showing that minimize. And then same thing for instructor, but let's see. Now I can easily switch between the workspaces as well. If I'm someone who happens to hold all three types of these, or I'm just an author and instructor, so I can switch through them. Now there's also friction here because if I'm a student, I don't want to see this, right? If I'm only a student, my one goal is just to come in here and take the courses. So we've accounted for that, and a student will not see this at all. So it's just for those users with multiple accounts. Okay, let me stop sharing and share my other screen again. Okay, I think we're back on the slides, right?
Yeah.
Awesome, thanks. So that's the prototype that goes into implementation, but the job is not over yet. You have to measure the impact of the new design through KPIs or key performance indicators. And this is an area that we definitely want to grow in our UX program. But some examples of common KPIs could be the time on the task. Say that I give some participants in testing once this is released and it's taking them way too long to create their account, then I know maybe this isn't the best design. Same thing, if are they using the design? Then maybe it's not a great design. Conversion rate, are we getting more users from this? Error rate, drop-off rate. And something that we have started doing is a system usability scale, which just gives quantifiable number to the usability of your system so that you can redo that and just see if we're improving. However, you are the most important part of this process because people are at the heart of user experience design. And without insight and experiences from you all, we can't really make products that are truly user-centered if I'm just making them. So this is my pitch to encourage you to sign up for our growing user research participant pool if you're interested in improving Torus as a learning platform. So you can just scan this QR code with your phone if you want, or Amanda, I think I gave you the link to send in
I
the
just put the link into the chat. So if
Awesome.
anyone is interested in participating in UX research, then you can click on that.
Great. And I'll give you all 30 seconds to do that.
I will also include this link in our follow-up email from this meeting. So if you miss it or if you take some time to think about it and you decide you want to participate, then that'd be great. I want to emphasize that Jess can really work with your schedule in terms of as much or as little time as you have to participate. But the more members of our community that take part in this, then the more representative our UX research and then the features that come in our roadmap will be. So it's a really good opportunity to make sure your voice is heard as we're working on improving Torus. That's my pitch.
Agreed. And at this time, if there's any questions so far, comments, feedback, I can keep this screen up, but please feel free to ask anything at the moment before we move on to our activity portion. Any questions? Okay, well, if there are no questions, I can move on and feel free to ask any throughout the rest of this presentation. Oops. Okay. So now it's your turn to try. We're going to start at the ideation phase today for our activity because I'm not going to make everyone go out and do interviews unless you want to, but so here.
Jess, I'm sorry to interrupt, but Maggie had a question.
Oh,
she said, what's the result of measuring impact?
Well, we haven't tested this example yet, but an example, here, let me go. An example could be like if I use time to measure the impact of the design, I could have a control sort of group where I'm going through the like version 28 version of this and timing someone to complete something and then comparing that to the new design. But then you also don't want to just have like one way of measuring impact. So usually it's kind of a process where you should develop out a whole testing plan. Yeah, thanks for your question.
Miguel says we need indicators to measure.
Yes. Do you want to elaborate on that, Miguel? Oh, I don't think we can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. We need indicators, right? We need to track the life of the students and the teachers in the LMS. Okay. So there are several indicators. I could sum up some and send them to you via email. Okay. Like how many times do the student visit a resource, or if they need any special aid. There are several indicators. Okay, so if you give me an email, I'll do my homework. Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah, thank you for that. I will send you an email.
And also, you'll get a follow-up email after this that has, relevant information like our contact info and that sort of thing. So Jess can reach out to you with contact information, but you'll also get a follow-up from us. Thanks, Miguel.
I also have my email listed at the end of this, so we should get to that as well. Any other questions, comments? Okay. Well, once again, just chime in if you do. Okay. So we are going to practice ideating, and our how might we statement here is how might we enhance Torus community meetings to effectively align with our audience's goals. And lucky for us, our user is in the room. It's all of you because you are the audience of this meeting. So we need to find out before we can answer this, what are your goals? What are you hoping to gain out of this meeting? And essentially, why do you come to the Torus community meetings? So to do this in a more fun way, we're going to create a visual artifact. So let me stop sharing the screen and switch to my other screen. Okay, so you should all be seeing this QR code. Why do you attend Torus community meetings? You can scan the QR code with your phone, or you can type in this menti.com and it will prompt you for the code at the top. And you will get an input box with 3 options to write in. So if you're interested in participating, it's anonymous. You could each just write in a goal or all 3 goals, and we should get a pretty cool looking word cloud out of it. So I will give you all a minute to do so. Also, you can't make me answer because it would be, I get paid and this is my job. Awesome. Information, updates, demos, best practices. Apple pie.
Someone said apple pie.
Okay, noted. Okay, I'll give us a minute or two more if anyone's still typing. Unfortunately, this tool did not have background music, but the next one does. I could hum along, but
I was about to suggest that you hum. I'm sure people would find that soothing.
don't want to hear that probably. Okay, if anyone is still writing, if you want to just put one of those Zoom reactions. Okay, cool. So going to screenshot this. And we are going to take it to our next activity. But before that, just to summarize, it looks like some of the bigger words are usually what people put twice. So keep in the loop, updates, demos, information, roadmap seem like some of the key reasons for why you all attend the meetings. Torus, that's a good reason as well. Feedback. I'm wondering if anyone wants to provide any more context with feedback. If it's feedback on like you're giving the feedback, I would understand.
Well, I will say that I put feedback, and that's because it's my meeting. So the main reason I go to the meeting is to get feedback from all the people who attend the meeting. But someone else put user feedback, and I'd be interested about that.
Does user feedback want to elaborate? If not, that's totally fine. Okay, so let's move to the fun part of this. Not that this wasn't fun. Let's see. Stop sharing. Okay, so now we're going to go over to one of my favorite tools, which is Figma. And I'm going to share a link. And if you can't access this or get into it, it should be open to everyone. But then I'm also going to share my screen and you can just participate in the chat or out loud. So don't worry about that. So let's see, share. Okay, I'm now sending it in the chat. And I will share my screen. Okay, so you should be seeing this Let's Brainstorm board.
Yep.
Awesome. I'll wait a second to let everyone get here who wants to get here. So when you get here, you can just pick out one of these boards. Maybe you choose your favorite color, whatnot. Doesn't really matter, but you can have your own board that says participant 8, and that's where you can participate at. And if I need to make more, just let me know. I don't think we have 18 people, but I could just be bad at counting. So how might we enhance Torus community meetings to effectively align with our audience's goals? Well, now we know some of the goals. They seem to be, learning about the roadmap, updates, seeing demos, just getting general tourist information. But then there's some other things too, like the user feedback and tech design. So we can kind of refer to this up here while we're ideating. But we're going to do an activity called Crazy Eights that some of you may have heard of. So basically, I'm going to put 8 minutes on the timer with background music. So hopefully less awkward. But and you should spend roughly like a minute on each sticky note, give or take, just having 8 different ideas about how you can design this meeting to align more with these goals. They can be crazy ideas. There's no technical feasibility in this stage. They could be really not crazy ideas. So really just anything that comes to your mind. But the meaning of this exercise is kind of to push yourself creatively because you do only have 8 minutes. So it's kind of like everything that your brain thinks of at first, and then what happens when you run out of those ideas, right? And what happens when you're in a time crunch. So it looks like we have a lot of people here. I can put 8 minutes on the clock. And again, you're just going to write one idea per sticky note on how you can enhance the Torus community meetings to align with the goals pictured above. So let me put it on. Are there any questions first before we begin? Okay, awesome. Then 8 minutes on the clock. We are at the 1 minute mark, so start finishing up your ideas. Also, sorry to everyone, I forgot I was screen sharing and bouncing around the screen, so I have stopped. Okay, awesome. So if we could have maybe each person who participated share at least one idea. It could be what you think is your best idea, what you think is your worst idea, your most entertaining idea. That would be awesome. I can start. One of my ideas was to have a show and tell every Torus community meeting about a different Torus feature so that we could learn about it. Can zoom back out. Is anyone else willing to share?
I can go.
Awesome.
So I was number 13. I wanted to share demos on established features because based on some of the things that people wanted out of the community meeting, they really wanted to be like, they wanted to know best practices and they wanted demos and updates. So a lot of people haven't necessarily been around for the whole ride of Taurus, and they may have missed some of the older best practices, and we can give some of the old demos, not necessarily just on new features.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an awesome idea. Thank you for sharing. Would anyone else like to go next? Zoom back out.
I can go. I actually changed it to my name. I don't know if I was supposed to do that. I'm Courtney, right in the middle.
Okay.
One of the things that I would like to know is what folks in the community are doing as far as like maybe A/B testing or user testing or feedback with their own learner groups to just sort of know what's working out in the field.
Yeah, that's awesome. And if you want, I don't know if you know how to use the stickers on here, but if you put a sticker next to your idea too, so then we can come back to it when we're designing this meeting. Does anyone else want to share? Not obligated. If not, we can move on. But anyone else?
Yeah, I'll go. I said similar things to Courtney and Caitlin as well, but and also you. But I'm also just interested in just the other folks in this tourist community, and just learning more about what everybody does and how they use tourists, and especially if a lot of the people are in Pittsburgh, it might be nice to just even have like an annual meet and greet or mixer or something like that.
Yes. Meet up for my apple pie. Yeah.
Yes, there we go.
Awesome.
Jess, you just committed yourself. I hope you realize that.
I know. I don't know if I can make one that big for everyone here, but okay. Anyone else?
I can go next.
Yeah.
I'm interested in the process or the reasonings, design decisions behind the key feature updates.
Okay. Yeah, awesome. And you can talk to me about that too.
Yeah, it sounds good.
I can go next.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you. The community could grow using a software called Slack, or there's another one that uses channels and topics, and they remain there. Okay, so the community could go there asynchronously or in a synchronous way. Okay, we could have meetings also via Slack. It's a video conference like Zoom. Okay, that's
Oh,
my idea. Thank you.
yeah. I think, is there a Slack channel, Amanda, for this meeting?
So there's not one
No,
for this meeting
we could
yet.
make one.
But we could definitely add one. We could add one to our Slack workspace. So that I think that's not a bad idea. I mean, we do have general ones, and if folks aren't on that and they want to be, like if you're not in our Slack, I will add a reminder to that into our follow-up email that we do have a community Slack, and maybe we're not good enough about always advertising that to especially if folks are newer and like we're not always saying that. So yes, we do have a Slack. We can add new channels to it, and I think that that's a great suggestion, Miguel. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you. My English is rusty. Okay, sorry.
I'm sorry, what was that?
My English is rusty.
Oh, no
Did you
worries.
get it? Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
absolutely. I don't, it is much better than I speak any other language, so totally understandable.
Yes, thank you for your suggestion. Does anyone else want to share anything else? Okay, then I'm going to go back to our final presentation screen. Go here. Okay, so we kind of answered this question, right, through our ideation exercise, and I'm sure that there are a lot of more good ideas that we can go through on that board and incorporate into our Torus community meetings. So thank you all for participating and for listening to me babble up here about UX design. I'm really passionate about it, and if you want to contact me, here's my email. Amanda mentioned we also send out an email after this that will have that in it. Once again, if you're interested in participating in user research, contact me as well, or use that sign up form earlier. I can always go back to that QR code. But if there's any other questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to bring that up now. But otherwise, thank you so much for participating and listening to this meeting.
Oh, there is one other thing I wanted to make sure we mentioned in the meeting that like now that we're about to end it, I just remembered. So Jess, in response to some feedback that we've gotten from community members, then Jess has decided just for our upcoming Torus version that we're about to start working on, in the next month, less than a month at this point, Torus version 30, she's putting together a video design demo. And that's going to show everything that that Jess has designed to go into version 30, including kind of walking you through the different features. I mean, much like she just did for the accounts feature, she does that more extensively, across multiple things. So I will include the link to that in the follow-up email to this meeting so that you all can see and go through that. I do want to make a caveat here that we often see changes as much as Jess does an amazing job of working closely with the development team. Once the rubber hits the road and we're actually in the process of trying to get all of this stuff designed and out the door in a way that's sustainable as a release on a schedule, there often are changes. So I really can't emphasize enough that you should not be assuming that every design you're seeing is exactly what's going to come out. Sometimes we even have to have features that get cut or pushed to a later release just because they end up taking a lot more time than we think to develop and that sort of thing, or there's challenges that we didn't anticipate. So take this design demo with a grain of salt, but it is giving you an idea of, at least at the start of the release process, like what is it that we're actually planning on building in version 30. And if you have any questions about that, you can ask right now, or you can follow up with us later.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks everyone. See ya.